On our 6th wedding anniversary, what I was waiting for was not Jiyu Mingchen's anniversary gift, but him bringing his pregnant childhood sweetheart into our home. He taunted me for having only 2 daughters in 6 years, mocked my uncooperative body, told me to magnanimously accept Lin Wanqi, and even said the position of Mrs. Jiyu was still mine. I looked at his smug face, nodded lightly and said fine. He would never know that 3 years ago I obtained his diagnosis of azoospermia. My name is Su Qingyang. I have been married to Jiyu Mingchen for exactly 6 years. Today is our 6th wedding anniversary. I started in the kitchen at 5 in the morning, personally cooked several of his favorite dishes, set candles in the dining room, opened the treasured 1982 Lafitte, and even handcrafted a pair of car safety talismans using filigree techniques as his 6th anniversary gift. I sat at the dining table from 6 in the evening and waited until 11 at night. The food on the table had gone cold, the candles were half burned, and the large villa on the hillside was silent except for the ticking of the clock on the wall, which made what should have been a warm anniversary particularly lonely. After these 6 years, I have grown used to this kind of waiting. 6 years ago, I was the director of a national key laboratory for reproductive medicine, the founder of Qingyang Biotech, holding multiple core patents in assisted reproduction. I was a prominent figure in the country's reproductive medicine field, but Jiyu Mingchen told me he didn't want to marry a wife who lived in a lab and always smelled of disinfectant. He wanted a warm home and a woman who would support him from behind. I believed him, sheathed all my sharp edges, quit my core position at the lab, handed Qingyang Biotech to a close friend to hold, changed my name and became his full-time wife behind the scenes. In his startup phase, when his small clinic on the street was on the verge of bankruptcy, I put up 300 million of my premarital dowry as his seed money. When he couldn't obtain medical qualifications related to assisted reproduction, I used my family's industry connections to open every door for him. Countless times when medical accidents or technical gaps nearly ruined him, I stayed up nights solving technical problems for him, helped him recover losses, and even licensed my core assisted reproduction patents to his hospital for free. But I never told anyone about these things. I always felt that between husband and wife things shouldn't be so divided. I wanted someone who would truly care for me and spend his life with me, not someone after my technology and assets. I thought my wholehearted giving would surely earn his sincere devotion. I never expected that what I would get was the most utter betrayal. The villa's door lock clicked as the code was entered and the door opened. Jiyu Mingchen walked in, smelling of alcohol and a stranger's perfume. He didn't look at me, stepped aside and carefully helped a woman with a slightly rounded belly into the house. I knew that woman, Lin Wanqi, the childhood sweetheart Jiyu Mingchen kept mentioning, the pitiable orphaned white moonlight in his stories. Over these 6 years, that name was like a thorn constantly pricking my heart. Jiyu Mingchen always said Lin Wanqi had a weak constitution and he needed to take extra care of her. I endured for 6 years, always believing that if I was sensible enough and virtuous enough and gave him children, he would finally place his heart with me. I bore him a pair of twin daughters who are 5 years old this year, obedient and adorable. But I never imagined he would bring that woman straight into our home, into our 6th wedding anniversary, and that he would even have gotten her pregnant. Jiyu Mingchen supported Lin Wanqi and sat down on the sofa in the living room as if he were the master of this house, poured her warm water, handed her a cushion, and he didn't look at me throughout, as if I, the legal wife, were invisible. Lin Wanqi leaned back on the sofa, looked up at me with an air of boasting and provocation, her hand gently stroking her lower abdomen, and spoke. Sister Qingyang, so sorry to bother you so late. It's just that I'm pregnant with Mingchen's child, only 3 months along, and I never feel well. Mingchen doesn't want me to be alone outside, so he had to bring me back. Her words stabbed into my heart like a knife. The hand I had by my side clenched slightly, my nails biting into my palm, yet I felt no pain at all. I looked up at Jiyu Mingchen and said, Jiyu Mingchen, today is our 6th wedding anniversary. You bring her and the child home. What does that mean? Jiyu Mingchen finally looked at me, his face showing no trace of guilt, but instead full of impatience and arrogance. He stood up, walked over to me, looked down on me and spoke as if issuing an order. Su Qingyang, I won't beat around the bush with you anymore. Wanqi is carrying my son. He is the eldest grandson of our GU family. From now on she will live here. I looked at him and asked, then what? About me, and what about my 2 daughters? GU Mingchen scoffed, as if he'd heard a joke, and said, what more can you do? You've married into the GU family for 6 years, and you've only produced 2 maidservants. Your belly is failing to cooperate, and you haven't even given us a son. If I hadn't considered you somewhat sensible, I would have divorced you long ago. He pointed a finger at my nose, his tone full of ferocity, and continued, now, you hand over the master bedroom, let it be for WNQ and the baby to live in. Aren't you a fertility expert? You should know best how to take care of pregnant women. From now on, WNQ's pregnancy care will be entrusted to you. You must personally tend to her. If there's even a small mistake with the baby, I'll only ask you. Beside him, Lin WNQ feigned a sympathetic smile and spoke. Ming Chen, forget it, don't make things difficult for Qingyang Jie. I'm alright, as long as I can be with you, I don't mind at all. As she spoke, she deliberately cupped her belly, frowned. Looking uncomfortable, Jiu Ming Chen immediately grew tense and steadied her, then turned to me, his eyes filled with even more aggression, and said, Su Qingyang, look at you, see what you've done to WNQ. I'm telling you, don't lose face and act shamelessly. You'd better listen obediently and take good care of WNQ. I can still keep your position as Mrs. GU, otherwise you'll take 2 maidservants and leave this family, leaving with nothing but the clothes on your back. I looked at the man I had loved for 6 years and given myself to for 6 years, and the last bit of warmth in my heart completely cooled. 6 years of effort, 6 years of endurance, 6 years of sincere treatment. At this moment it shattered utterly, leaving not even a trace. I didn't become hysterical, I didn't cry, and I didn't make a scene. I just looked at him calmly and said, any other demands? Jiu Ming Chen obviously hadn't expected me to agree so easily. He was stunned for a moment, then a smug smile appeared on his face as if he were certain that without him I couldn't survive and would have to obediently follow his orders. He patted my shoulder and said, that's more like it. A wise person knows when to seize the moment. Behave yourself, take good care of WNQ and my son, and I won't treat you unfairly. I didn't look at him again, nor at Lin Wanqi, who sat on the sofa with a self-satisfied air. I turned, went into the bedroom and closed the door. When the door closed, the calm on my face vanished without a trace, replaced by a shocking cold. Jiu Ming Chen, Lin Wanqi, what you owe me I will take back piece by piece with interest. I picked up my phone, rummaged through the contact labeled Lawyer Zhong, and called the number. After 2 rings it was answered. A steady male voice came through the line. President Su, it's been a while, do you have any instructions? I held the phone and spoke. Lawyer Zhong, I want a divorce, help me file the divorce case. I want Jiu Ming Chen to walk away with nothing. Also help me check all his financial transactions over the past 6 years, as well as all diagnostic and financial records from Ming Chen Women's Hospital, every detail you can find. Lawyer Zhong immediately replied, no problem, President Su, I'll bring the team over to see you right away. After hanging up, I dialed another number, the number of my best friend and trustee of Qingyang Biotech, Lin Man. When the call connected, Lin Man's excited voice came through. Qingyang, you finally called me. For 6 years we've been waiting for you to return. I said, Man, I'm returning to the company. Also prepare for an urgent Qingyang Biotech board meeting tomorrow and help me organize all of Mingchen Hospital's violations over the past 6 years. I want this company to disappear from the market completely. Lin Man immediately answered, no problem Qingyang, I'll handle it right away, rest assured the task will be completed. After hanging up, I looked out at the nighttime river view, a cold smile curving the corners of my lips. Jiu Ming Chen, don't you think that after I divorce you I'll just be a housewife who washes clothes and cooks? Then I'll show you what kind of existence it is that you've let go by yourself. Aren't you willing to sacrifice your own wife and daughter for your beloved white moonlight and your so-called son? Then I'll show you how the baby you built, the obstetrics empire, will fade away into nothing in my hands. Your good days are over. Hanging up all the phones, dawn was already breaking. I felt no trace of sleepiness. I opened the safe in the bedroom where I kept over the 6 years of core technical data. Patent documents. Note, not translating as authorization documents, may be patent authorization documents. And the bank statements from when I transferred 300 million startup funds to Jiu Ming Chen. as well as all documents for the prenuptial property. I had always kept these things carefully, not for anything else but so that if the hospital encountered problems, I could quickly help him fill the gaps. But now these things have become my strongest weapon, the things I can take back that belong to me. I organized all the documents, put them into my portable briefcase, and then opened the wardrobe to pack my things. This wardrobe is mostly filled with luxury goods Gu Mingchen bought for me, but what I truly liked has never been these things. I only packed my own documents, the clothes I wear most often, and all documents related to Qingyang biology and the laboratory. I didn't take a single thing Gu Mingchen bought for me. Looking at these things, I felt they were dirty. At 8 in the morning, Gu Mingchen walked out of the bedroom. Last night he had slept in the guest room next to the master bedroom with Lin Wanqi. A night of spring breeze left him with a spirited smile, as if he were already certain that I would obediently listen to him, tend to his white moonlight and be a nanny for his son. He walked into the dining room and saw the cold leftovers on the table, frowned and asked Su Qingyang, "What's going on? It's early in the morning, you didn't even make breakfast. Didn't you see that Wanqi is pregnant? There isn't the slightest sign of a wife here." I looked up at him but said nothing. Lin Wanqi also walked out, snuggling in Gu Mingchen's arms, and spoke coquettishly. "Mingchen, don't be angry, Sister Qingyang might not have accepted this yet. It's okay, I'm not hungry." As she spoke, she deliberately shot me a provoking look as if declaring her victory. Gu Mingchen patted her head with a look of spoiling her, and when he turned his head to me, his face instantly darkened. He said, "Su Qingyang, look at Wanqi, she's so understanding. What I told you yesterday, have you remembered clearly? Has the master bedroom been cleaned out?" I looked at him and spoke, "Not yet." Gu Mingchen's brows furrowed even tighter, and he impatiently said, "Su Qingyang, what do you mean? Weren't we supposed to be fine yesterday? Let me tell you, don't try any tricks with me." I looked at him and spoke calmly again, "I only promised to listen to you, I didn't promise to follow through." Gu Mingchen paused, then his face suddenly darkened. He was about to erupt when Lin Wanqi immediately tugged at his arm, shook her head at him, then looked at me and spoke, "Qingyinji, I know you're uncomfortable inside. It's okay, I can stay in the guest room. No need to specially tidy the master bedroom for me. It's just that I'm pregnant. 4 prenatal checkups and the birth in the future. Mingchen will have to be with me, so I may need to stay here for a long time and I'll trouble you to bear with it." Her words were seemingly an apology but actually a declaration of ownership, telling me that from now on she would be the mistress of this home. Gu Mingchen immediately leaned in to hold her, and shouted at me, "Su Qingyang, listen, even Wanqi is so sensible. What else do you want? I tell you, within today you must have the master bedroom cleaned out for me. Otherwise get out of here." I looked at him and said nothing. He thought I was scared and laughed smugly. He pulled a document from his briefcase and threw it in front of me and said, "By the way, there's this too, sign it quickly." I lowered my head to glance. It was a patent assignment agreement, which stated that I must transfer the 12 core assisted reproductive patents in my possession, free of charge, to Gu Mingchen's name. I looked up at him and asked, "What does this mean?" Gu Mingchen leaned against the sofa, crossing his legs arrogantly, and said, "What does it mean? Wanqi is pregnant with my son, so our family's assets in the future and these core technologies will all be left to my son. These patents are useless in your hands anyway. Quickly transfer them to my name so they won't fall into outsiders' hands if something goes wrong." I looked at him and could hardly believe my ears. Not only does he want me to serve his mistress, but he also wants me to give up my life's core patents, hand them over to him for him and his mistress' son. In this world, how could there be someone so shameless? Gu Mingchen saw I was silent and spoke again, "Su Qingyang, I'm telling you, you as a woman cannot have a son. No matter how many patents or how much money you have, it's useless. You'll end up with outsiders sooner or later. If you obediently sign the agreement and properly serve Wanqi, I can still let you continue to be Mrs. Gu, otherwise, you'll leave with nothing." I looked at him and couldn't help but smile coldly, and said, "Gu Mingchen, you have a very beautiful fantasy." Gu Mingchen's face instantly changed. He stood up abruptly, pointed at me and roared, "Su Qingyang, don't show your face and act shameless. Don't forget, every bit of food you eat, the clothes you wear, the house you live in, the car you drive, all of it was given to you by me. Without me, you are nothing." I looked at him and couldn't help but laugh and said, "Gu Mingchen, Have you forgotten how this hospital of yours was started? The house you live in was bought by me before we married. The car you drive was bought by me. The startup funds for your company were my 300 million premarital assets. You could obtain medical qualifications and reach today only thanks to my core patents and technology support. Without me, you would still be that poor guy running a street-side clinic. What right do you have to say such things to me? Jiu Mingchen was roared, speechless, his face alternately flushed and pale, unable to utter a word for a long time. Lin Wanqi immediately spoke up. Qingyinji, how can you say that? Mingchen's today is all by his own hard work. How can you take all the credit for yourself? As his wife, aren't you supposed to support his career? I turned to her and said coldly, do you have the right to speak here, eh? Mistress who barged into my home, and you still dare boss me around? What do you think you are? Lin Wanqi's eyes went red the moment I snapped at her. She threw herself into Jiu Mingchen's arms and sobbed, Mingchen, look at her, she's bullying me. Jiu Mingchen exploded instantly, raised his hand to slap me, and shouted, Su Qingyang, how dare you bully Wanqi? I'll teach you a lesson. I stood where I was, watching him coldly, not flinching at all. His hand paused in midair, and in the end he didn't bring it down. He knew in his heart that even though I'm a full-time wife now, the family and industry resources behind me weren't something he could easily offend. He gritted his teeth, lowered his hand and said viciously, Su Qingyang, I'll give you one last chance. Will you sign the patent transfer agreement or not? Will you clear out the master bedroom or not? I looked at him and said calmly, I will not sign the agreement. I will not give up the master bedroom. If you can't stand me, you and your mistress can get out of my house. Jiu Mingchen trembled with rage, pointed at me and said, fine, Su Qingyang, just you wait, I'll make you regret this. I paid him no more attention, picked up the briefcase on the sofa, and walked out of the villa. I got into the car I had ordered in advance, took out my phone, and blocked every contact for Jiu Mingchen, his family, his friends, everyone related to his company, blocked. The car slowly pulled away, and through the rearview mirror I watched the villa I'd lived in for 6 years fade behind me with not an ounce of regret. From today on, this place is no longer my home. The driver asked Ms. Su, where shall we go? I said, to Qingyang Biotech headquarters. The car drove to the Qingyang Biotech building. Lin Man was already there with the core team waiting for me at the entrance. When they saw me get out, everyone called out excitedly, Ms. Su, welcome back. I nodded at them and said, it's been a while. From today onward, I'm officially returning to Qingyang Biotech to take back control of the company. Everyone replied in unison, understood, Ms. Su. In the meeting room, Lin Man put a thick stack of documents in front of me and said, Ms. Su, we've investigated all operation data, treatment records, and financial records of Mingchen Obstetrics and Gynecology over nearly 6 years. I flipped through the files. The more I read, the colder my gaze grew. Lin Man continued, Ms. Su, Mingchen Obstetrics profited hundreds of millions over these years using your patent, but behind the scenes it has been involved in illegal surrogacy, gender selection, even fabricating medical reports to deceive patients and extort large treatment fees. In addition, Jiu Mingchen repeatedly embezzled company funds, transferring them into Lin Wanqi's name, totaling over 50 million. I closed the files, my fingers trembling, not from fear but from extreme anger and disgust. I hadn't expected that the core technology one gave him would be used for such illegal schemes. I looked at Lin Man and said, organize all the evidence, give one copy to Lawyer Zhong, and submit another to the National Health Commission and the State Administration for Market Regulation. Also, notify all partner institutions to terminate all technical cooperation with Mingchen Obstetrics and revoke all patent authorizations. Lin Man immediately nodded. Understood, Ms. Su, I'll handle it now. After leaving the meeting room, I got back in the car and said, take me to a national-level laboratory. The car drove slowly through the streets of Beijing. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. Jiu Mingchen, you want me to regret it? Soon you'll know what real regret means. The pit you dug for me. I will personally push you into it and make sure you never recover. Leaving the lab, it was already 2 days later. During these 2 days, I led the team to gather and file all evidence of violations and illegal acts in Mingchen maternity and child care, and at the same time I conducted the final review and authentication of Jiu Mingchen's full set of medical examination reports. From 3 years ago, Jiu Mingchen had health problems due to staying up late and drinking heavily, so he came to my lab for a complete reproductive system examination. The results at that time clearly diagnosed him with irreversible obstructive azoospermia, meaning the testes could not produce sperm and natural conception was impossible. I was afraid he wouldn't be able to accept it, and also afraid it would affect our relationship, so I did not tell him the true results. I simply told him that his body needed conditioning and natural conception would be difficult, and suggested we pursue IVF later. We had a pair of twin daughters through IVF. I thought that even if he knew he would have difficulty having children, he would still treat our daughters well and manage this family properly. But I didn't expect that he would be misogynistic, despise that I gave birth to daughters, and even go outside to find a mistress, and even bring a mistress who claimed to be pregnant with his child into our home, forcing me to step aside. He will never know that the son he cherished as a treasure was, from the very beginning, a complete hoax. Today marks the celebration of the 6th anniversary of Mingchen maternity and gynecology. Jiu Mingchen had long promised that at this celebration, he would announce that Lin Wanqi is pregnant with his child, while also unveiling the hospital's new assisted reproductive technology, hoping to lift Mingchen maternity to new heights with this celebration. He even invited bigwigs from the National Medical Circle and hundreds of media outlets, planning a full live online broadcast of the event, with online viewers expected to exceed 10 million. He thought this celebration would be the pinnacle of his life. Little did he know, it would be the prelude to his descent into the abyss. On the day of the celebration, at the Beijing International Exhibition Center, there was a sea of people. The 6th anniversary celebration of Mingchen maternity and gynecology was grand and grandiose, with the red carpet stretching from the entrance to the main venue. Posters of Jiu Mingchen everywhere, as well as promotional advertisements for Mingchen maternity and gynecology. Jiu Mingchen wore a custom suit, standing at the entrance of the venue, full of high spirits as he welcomed the arriving guests. Lin Wanqi wore a maternity dress, arm in his arm, her belly slightly protruding, accepting blessings from everyone, her face full of a proud smile. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the celebration officially began. Jiu Mingchen held Lin Wanqi's hand and walked onto the stage. Together, the audience instantly erupted in thunderous applause, and the flashbulbs lit up like a sea. Jiu Mingchen picked up the microphone and spoke with vigor. Dear leaders, dear guests, netizens in the live room, hello everyone. I am Jiu Mingchen, the founder of Mingchen maternity and gynecology. Today is the 6th anniversary of Mingchen maternity and gynecology. First, I want to thank all the guests and friends for their support and trust in Mingchen maternity and gynecology all along. In 6 years, Mingchen maternity and gynecology has grown from a small clinic into one of the leading private obstetrics and gynecology chain brands in the country. This would not have been possible without the trust of every user, and also without the silent support of the woman by my side who has always stood by me. As he spoke, he turned to look at Lin Wanqi beside him, his eyes filled with pampering affection. He continued, today, on this good day, I want to share some good news with everyone. My lover Lin Wanqi is carrying my son. Our Jiu family is finally going to have a long grandson. As the words fell, the crowd below erupted in enthusiastic applause and cheers, and the livestream comments page instantly filled with blessings. Jiu Mingchen smiled proudly and continued, many people have asked me, what is the core secret behind Mingchen fetal and maternal health success today? I want to say it is love, it is responsibility, it is accountability to every family. When he reached this point, his tone shifted, and with a mocking look in his eyes, he continued, of course, I also want to thank my wife Su Qingyang. Although we've been married for 6 years, she has only given birth to 2 daughters. Her belly has always been uncooperative, unable to give me a son. But she has stood by me through 6 years of trials and hardships. The moment these words were spoken, the room fell silent, everyone looking at each other, and the live comment section instantly sparked controversy. No way to say in front of the nation on live TV that your wife can't have a son, that's so disrespectful. My God, his wife is so unfortunate, married for 6 years and only 2 daughters. Yet the husband brings his mistress on stage and publicly taunts her for not having a son. This man is too despicable, isn't he? Rich and then bad. But Jiyu Mingchen paid no mind, still standing on the stage with smug assurance, continuing to brag about his entrepreneurial experiences and portraying himself as a self-made entrepreneurial prodigy, just as he was. Bragging loudly and preparing to announce a brand new assisted reproductive technology, a calm female voice suddenly rang out at the entrance of the venue. Wait a moment. The entire hall fell silent in an instant, and all eyes fixed on me. I wore a sharp white suit, stepped in high heels, escorted by bodyguards, calmly making my way into the main venue. Jiyu Mingchen stood on the stage. The moment he saw me, his smile froze, his eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at me. He never expected that the woman he ridiculed for not producing a son would suddenly appear at his 6-year anniversary celebration. Lin Wenku, upon seeing me, also lost her smile instantly, instinctively hiding behind Jiyu Mingchen, her hands tightly pressed against her abdomen. The livestream comments exploded. Holy crap, the real person is here. Is this Jiyu Mingchen's wife Su Qingyang? Her aura is unbelievable. Oh my god, the main character is here. This is going to be a huge showdown. I've already dragged over a small stool. This is hilarious. He just mocked someone for not having a son, and the main character arrives. Let's see how he handles this. I walked step by step toward the stage, and reporters swarmed around, firing cameras in all directions, the flashbulbs lighting up the room. The bodyguards immediately stepped forward to shield me, pushing through the crowd of journalists, guiding me to the podium. Jiyu Mingchen finally reacted, his face darkening as he roared, Su Qingyang, what are you doing here? This isn't a place for you. Security, throw her out. 2 security guards rushed forward to pull me down. I raised my hand to stop them, speaking calmly. I'm not here to cause trouble today, I'm here to expose a fraud. I turned to the man on the stage and said lightly, Jiyu Mingchen, you just said Lin Wenku is carrying your child. Jiyu Mingchen stiffened his neck and replied, yes, so what? Wenku is carrying my son. He's the heir to the Jiyu family. You're not pleased? I looked at him and couldn't help but smile as I spoke. Jiyu Mingchen, have you forgotten that 3 years ago, you personally had a full reproductive system examination in my laboratory? The 3 top domestic experts signed off on it, confirming you suffer from irreversible azoospermia, and natural conception is impossible. I looked at him. Tell me, where did the child in Lin Wenku's belly come from? Where did your son come from? The moment this sentence fell, the room erupted with discussion and journalists frantically snapped photos as the flashbulbs lit up. Everywhere, Jiyu Mingchen stood on the stage, trembling all over, lips quivering, unable to say a word for a long time, his face as pale as paper, cold sweat constantly streaming down his forehead. He abruptly turned his head to look at Lin Wenku beside him, his eyes red as if they would bleed, and he yelled, Lin Wenku, what is going on? Tell me, whose child is it after all? Lin Wenku had long since panicked, her face pale, trembling all over, stammering, Mingchen, I don't know, this report is fake. Su Qingyang forged it, she did it on purpose. I looked at her with a cold smile, and spoke. Forged? This report has the joint certification of 3 top experts, as well as the laboratory's original testing data, and can be verified by any institution at any time. But you, Miss Lin, you dare to go to the hospital now to have a prenatal check for everyone to see whether the child in your womb is really Jiyu Mingchen's. Lin Wenku was speechless at my question, her legs buckling, nearly collapsing to the ground. The guests and reporters in the audience instantly understood. Pointing and whispering at the 2 people on stage, discussions erupting all around. My goodness, it was fake. This woman didn't even carry his child, did she? Even if she did, it isn't his. He's sterile. How could a woman be pregnant? Ridiculous. Jiyu Mingchen has been duped, wearing a green hat, and flaunting it openly like a treasure. How embarrassing. Jiyu Mingchen looked at Lin Wenku, who could barely stand beside him, then at the medical report on the big screen, and finally understood he had been deceived. Wearing a huge green hat and in front of the national live broadcast, he boasted of it like a treasure, ruining his reputation completely. His blood surged, his vision blackened, almost fainting, pointing at Lin Wenku, unable to say a word for a long time. I watched his pitiful appearance, and spoke coldly. Jiyu Mingchen, this is just the beginning. For all these years, how much money you earned by relying on my patent, how many illegal and improper deeds you did, I will calculate every penny for you. One by one, after saying this, I turned and walked down the stage, escorted by bodyguards, leaving the celebration site behind me, a chaotic celebration scene and Ji Mingchen's completely collapsed shrieks. In the car, the assistant smiled and said, "President Su, well done. This time Ji Mingchen is utterly finished." I watched the retreating scenery outside the window with no fluctuation on my face. "Ji Mingchen, this is just the first installment you owe me. Next, I will make you pay the most painful price for everything you have done." Outside the celebration site, news of Mingchen's infertility scam for women's health spread across the entire internet in an instant. Topics like #Ji Mingchen infertility, #Mingchen women's health scam, #Suqingyan hardcore comeback dominated the hot searches, with views skyrocketing to over 500 million in an instant. The complete video of the celebration site circulated all over the network, and netizens finally learned the full truth of the matter, turning around one by one and cursing Ji Mingchen as a scumbag, a con artist, a backstabber. The netizens who previously criticized me also apologized on my social accounts. My goodness, the twist. It turns out Ji Mingchen is the real scumbag. He rose on his wife's tech and money, and when he got rich he cheated, brought his mistress into the house and even publicly mocked his wife for not being able to have a son, only for it to turn out that he's sterile. How ridiculous. Sister Sue is way too awesome. She pulled out a medical examination report on the spot, directly exposing the scam. So badass. I was deceived by Ji Mingchen before and even cursed Sister Sue. I apologize. No wonder Mingchen gynecology and obstetrics can rise. It was all thanks to his wife's core patent. Yet Ji Mingchen repaid kindness with betrayal. What a white-eyed wolf. Ha ha ha. In front of the nationwide livestream, Ji Mingchen wore a green hat himself and boasted that he had a son. This is the biggest joke of the year. And Mingchen gynecology and obstetrics has fallen into an irredeemable situation. On the day the celebration ended, the National Health Commission issued a notice announcing an official investigation into Mingchen gynecology and obstetrics for suspected illegal surrogate motherhood, medical fraud, and other behaviors. The stock price of Mingchen gynecology and obstetrics plummeted to the limit at the next trading session's opening, and within a day the market value evaporated by over 8 billion. Patients from all over the country began to defend their rights, demanding refunds and compensation from Mingchen gynecology and obstetrics, and the branches nationwide were crowded with patients seeking redress. Ji Mingchen overnight went from an illustrious medical industry magnate to a scoundrel and a scumbag proclaimed by everyone, vilified across the internet. Yet he was not deterred. Instead of reflecting on his errors, he shifted all responsibility onto me. The next day, he registered for the nation's highest standard reproductive medicine academic summit. This summit is the most authoritative gathering in the domestic reproductive medicine field, inviting top domestic reproductive medicine experts, hospital leaders, and leaders from the Health Commission. It is live-streamed nationwide, with online viewers expected to exceed 20 million. He hoped to use this summit to whitewash himself again, smear me, and salvage his reputation. He thought I was just a housewife who didn't understand reproductive medicine, and even if I did, I couldn't possibly contend with him at such a national-level summit. But he didn't know that the organizers of this summit had already sent me an invitation letter, inviting me to be a special guest speaker to attend the summit and give a keynote address. On the day of the summit, the Beijing International Convention Center was packed to capacity. Ji Mingchen leveraged his prior connections to secure the first slot to speak, standing at the podium in front of millions of live stream viewers. He once again pretended to be a victim, tearfully begging, "Dear leaders, dear experts, dear online friends, hello, I am Ji Mingchen of Mingchen Gynecology and Obstetrics. Recently, due to marital issues with my wife, our industry has been negatively affected. I am here to apologize. However, I must clarify that the online medical report was forged by my wife Su Qingyang, who is angry about our divorce and maliciously fabricated it to ruin me and Mingchen Gynecology and Obstetrics." He paused before continuing, "Many people think Mingchen Gynecology and Obstetrics could be where it is today thanks to Su Qingyang. But I want to say, her limited reproductive medical knowledge was learned from me. She, a full-time housewife for 6 years, knows nothing about reproductive medicine. She just read a couple of books and pretended to be an expert. Not only did she maliciously fabricate the medical report to smear my reputation, she also had an affair with the domestic billionaire Jiang Yanxi and took away a huge amount of company funds, then left home overnight. I am the real victim. He spoke more and more emotionally, painting himself as a victim betrayed by his wife and maliciously slandered, and some people in the audience who didn't know the truth even clapped for him. Some netizens in the live comments, swayed by his performance, began to sympathize with him. Just as he reached the climax of his performance, pretending to have cleared himself, the host of the summit suddenly spoke. Next, please give a warm round of applause to Ms. Su Qingyang, director of the National Key Laboratory of Reproductive Medicine, founder of Qingyang Bio, and the person who formulated domestic standards for assisted reproductive technology. She is invited to come on stage for the keynote speech. Those words silenced the entire venue. Jiyu Mingchen's smile froze instantly and he turned his head abruptly toward the entrance of the stage. I was dressed in a black suit and high heels, stepping onto the podium with the delegation of conference staff by my side, calm and composed. All eyes in the hall focused on me, flashbulbs kept flashing and the live chat exploded. Damn, Sister Su is here, the real deal is here. You just said she's a housewife expert, but she's actually the director of a national-level laboratory. So funny, this is a big cyber death. Jiyu Mingchen's face turned pale. My goodness, Sister Su is actually the domestic standard setter for assisted reproductive technology. No wonder Jiyu Mingchen's hospital could rise. It's all thanks to his wife. I've brought my little stool, waiting for Sister Su to deliver a hard-hitting rebuttal. I walked to the center of the lectern, took the microphone from the host, didn't even glance at the equally pale Jiyu Mingchen beside me, and facing the guests and the camera, I spoke calmly. Greetings to the leaders, to the experts, and to all the netizens in the live stream room. I am Su Qingyang. I'll start with a simple self-introduction. I have been engaged in reproductive medicine research for 15 years. I am the director of a National Key Laboratory for Reproductive Medicine, founder of Qingyang Biotech, one of the standard setters in the domestic assisted reproductive technology industry, and I hold 28 national invention patents related to assisted reproduction. Over these 15 years, the reproductive technologies my team and I developed have helped more than 100,000 infertile families to have children. I've also established the operating norms and technical standards for domestic assisted reproductive institutions. After I finished speaking, the crowd erupted in thunderous applause, and the reproductive medicine experts present nodded in acknowledgement. Jiyu Mingchen stood beside me, trembling all over, unable to stand or walk, embarrassed and at a loss. I turned to him and spoke calmly. Mr. Jiyu, you just said that my knowledge of reproductive medicine was all learned from you, that I'm a housewife who has been a full-time homemaker for 6 years and knows nothing about reproductive medicine. Jiyu Mingchen's lips trembled and he couldn't utter a word for a long time. I didn't pay him any more attention, and signaled with a raise of my hand. My assistant immediately connected the computer to the big screen on site. On the screen first appeared intimate photos of Jiyu Mingchen and Lin Wanqi, hotel check-in records, 6 years of transfer records and recordings of him taking Lin W. You have today's everything all because of me, and you repay me with treachery, an affair within marriage, bringing a third party into your home, taunting me for not bearing a son, then turning the tables and smearing me across the internet. Look into your conscience and ask yourself, do you deserve this? When these words fell, the audience erupted in hot applause, lasting for a long time. The host of the summit immediately stepped onto the stage, facing the audience and the cameras, bowing deeply and said, Dear leaders, dear netizens, we are very sorry because of our oversight. Mr. Jiyu Mingchen, who has engaged in improper conduct and potentially illegal activities, has been allowed onto this sacred forum stage. Now, I announce the immediate revocation of Mr. Jiyu Mingchen's participation and his permanent inclusion on the National Medical Industry Blacklist. At the same time, We will fully cooperate with regulatory authorities to conduct a serious investigation into the illegal activities of Mingchen Obstetrics and Gynecology. The leaders of the National Health Commission also stated on the spot that they will conduct a serious investigation into Mingchen Obstetrics and Gynecology's illegal activities, firmly crack down on illegal and non-compliant behavior in the medical industry, and will not show leniency. The security stepped onto the stage and carried away the desolate Gu Mingchen from the venue. As he was carried out, reporters swarmed him, firing sharp questions at him from all sides. He could not lift his head, his social death was complete, and I, standing at the podium, completed my keynote speech, shared my technical innovations in the field of assisted reproduction and the philosophy of industry standard setting, earning the high recognition of the experts present and enduring applause. This forum live broadcast ended with my solid face slapping turning the situation around, a complete reversal across the internet, with netizens cursing Gu Mingchen as a ingrate, a scumbag, a fraud, saying I'm the true queen, so badass, the first climax of taking down the trash and face slapping, a total victory, and yet this is only the beginning of Gu Mingchen's nightmare. Next, I will completely sever all of his business lifelines and make him pay the most painful price for what he has done. After the forum ended, the National Health Commission, the State Administration for Market Regulation, and the State Taxation Administration jointly established a special investigation team to conduct an investigation into Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital. I submitted all the evidence I had gathered on Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospitals. Illegal surrogate motherhood, medical fraud, tax evasion, and illicit provision of assisted reproductive services. Each piece of evidence was something my team and I uncovered piece by piece, ironclad and unassailable, enough to ruin Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital completely. After obtaining the evidence, the investigation team immediately acted, filing a formal case against Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital, and issuing a public announcement to halt the hospitals nationwide clinical services. They revoked the medical institution practice licenses of 12 severely non-compliant branches and froze all of Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital's bank accounts and assets. Soon after, I joined with the 6 major state-owned banks that had lent to Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital to submit the complete evidence of Gu Mingchen forging financial statements to defraud the banks. Once the banks saw the evidence, they exploded in anger and on the same day jointly issued announcements announcing the early recall of all loans to Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital, principal and interest totaling 2.5 billion yuan, and filed lawsuits with the courts, applying for property preservation to freeze all of Gu Mingchen's personal assets and properties. This directly cut off Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital's final lifeline, already on the verge of bankruptcy due to the scandal and the investigation. Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital was now completely paralyzed. All offline national branches were shut down, medical staff resigned en masse, and even the hospital's executives submitted resignation letters. The departing employees collectively applied for labor arbitration, demanding overdue wages and compensation from Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital. Patients from all over the country also brought lawsuits to the courts, requesting refunds for treatment costs and compensation for damages. At the court entrances, long queues formed daily, all from people suing Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital. Suppliers and equipment partners nationwide also came to demand payment for overdue goods, and some even removed medical equipment from the hospital to offset debts. Gu Mingchen panicked completely. He tried every possible way to find funds to rescue the company, to attract investment, but all investment institutions shunned him, either closing their doors or making excuses to defer. No one was willing to help him. Everyone knew Mingchen Maternity and Child Health Hospital was finished, and no one dared to offend me, my backer Qingyang Bio, or the resources of the entire reproductive medicine industry because of him. Desperation left Gu Mingchen with no choice but to place his hopes on the other major shareholders of the company. But he didn't know that I had already contacted these major shareholders and had negotiated all the conditions with them. These major shareholders had previously invested in Mingjin Maternity and Child Health Hospital out of courtesy to me. Over the past 6 years, Gu Mingchen's willful self-importance had repeatedly ignored the shareholders' advice, plunging the company into chaos and causing the stock price to collapse, leaving them with nothing and deeply dissatisfied with Gu Mingchen. I approached them, proposed convening an extraordinary board meeting to remove Gu Mingchen from the president position, and suggested that Qingyang Bio inject funds to revitalize Mingjin Maternity and Child Health Hospital's valuable assets and safeguard the shareholders' interests. They almost immediately agreed. With everything prepared, Mingjin Maternity and Child Health Hospital's extraordinary board meeting was formally convened. When Gu Mingchen received the board invitation, he was frantically scrambling to find funds in the office. He thought the shareholders were going to discuss ways to save the company, and he didn't hesitate at all. He went to the meeting room with his deputy, but when he pushed open the door, he found the atmosphere was off. All the major shareholders were seated in the meeting room, their faces cold. None of them greeted him as he walked in. Their gazes were full of contempt and dissatisfaction. And I, sitting on the seat beside the head of the table, held a cup of coffee in my hand, watching him calmly. The moment I appeared, Gu Mingchen's eyes reddened instantly. Pointing at me, he yelled at the shareholders, "Why did you summon her? This woman ruined our company and you invited her to the board. Are you crazy?" The vice chairperson, who sat at the head, spoke coldly. Gu Mingchen, shut up. Ms. Su is our company's angel investor and founder shareholder. She is entitled to attend this board meeting. As for you, you've turned the company into this mess and you still have the nerve to shout here. Gu Mingchen was stunned for a moment, then spoke. "I am the founder of the company. I am the president. When the company is in trouble, we should work together to find solutions, not tear each other apart." I set the coffee down, looked up at him and spoke calmly. "Gu Mingchen, you know the company is in trouble too. You've made the company what it is today. This is all your own doing." I raised my hand a little, and my lawyer immediately distributed a thick stack of evidence to every shareholder present. I began, "Dear shareholders, here is the complete evidence of Gu Mingchen's embezzlement of company funds, financial fraud, and illegal involvement in surrogacy services during his tenure, which caused massive losses and exposure to huge lawsuits and administrative penalties. Each item is ironclad. It is precisely because of his illegal and irregular acts that the company has fallen into today's desperate situation, facing delisting risks and potentially bearing corresponding legal responsibilities." The shareholders flipped through the evidence, their expressions growing sterner and their gazes toward Gu Mingchen more furious. "Gu Mingchen, how dare you embezzle the company's funds to buy a house and luxury goods for that mistress? Financial fraud, you've deceived us for so long. No wonder the company has been losing money. You've been scheming behind the scenes. Illegal surrogacy, do you want to drag all of us down with you?" The shareholders' questions surged like a tide toward Gu Mingchen. His face alternated between red and white. Standing there, unable to utter a single word, I looked at him and continued, "Today's extraordinary board meeting has only one agenda: to remove Gu Mingchen from the position of president and from the board, and to report his illegal actions to the public security authorities and regulatory bodies." The vice chairwoman immediately spoke. "Now we will proceed to a vote. Shareholders in favor of removing President Gu Mingchen and his director's seat, raise your hands." As soon as she finished speaking, all the shareholders in attendance raised their hands in unison. The final vote result, 80% of the shareholders voted in favor, and the motion to remove him passed officially. Gu Mingchen looked at the raised hands around the room and panicked completely, rushing forward to tear up the voting results, yelling madly, "You can't treat me this way. I'm the founder of the company. You can't remove me." The security guards at the door rushed in to restrain the emotionally agitated Gu Mingchen. The vice chairwoman looked at him coldly and said, "Gu Mingchen, from this moment on you are officially removed from the positions of president and director. You have 1 hour to pack your things and leave the company. Also, we have already reported your illegal acts to the public security and regulatory authorities, so you can expect to face legal sanctions." Gu Mingchen looked at everyone present. then at me sitting there with a calm face, and finally understood, it was all my trap. I, together with all the shareholders, had completely expelled him from the company that I had helped build. His eyes reddened again and he glared at me with bared teeth. Su Qingyang, it's you, it's all you, I won't let you go. I looked at him coldly and said, Jiyu Mingchen, this company was originally built with my help. Now, I'm only taking back what belongs to me. You still owe me far more than you've repaid. The security guards rushed forward at once, restraining the hysterical Jiyu Mingchen and dragging him out of the meeting room. As he was dragged away, he continued to howl my name wildly, hurling the most vicious curses, but no one paid him any mind. In the meeting room, the shareholders stood up one after another, reaching out their hands to me and speaking up. President Su, thanks to you, otherwise we would all have been seriously deceived by Jiyu Mingchen. From now on, the company will rely on you. I smiled, shook their hands, and spoke, everyone rest assured, I won't let your investments go to waste. Next, I led the team to carry out a comprehensive asset restructuring of Mingchen maternity and child health, divesting the bad assets. At the same time, Qingyang Biotech invested 2 billion, revitalizing the company's core obstetrics and gynecology treatment business, thoroughly overhauling the hospital, allowing this nearly bankrupt company to get back on the right track. And Jiyu Mingchen, who was expelled from the company, had become a complete loner. All of his assets were frozen by the bank, his credit card suspended, his luxury cars and villas mortgaged, and even the friends around him kept their distance for fear of being implicated. With no way out, he could only move into a dilapidated rental in the urban village with Lin Wanqi, living day to day while being besieged by creditors, miserable as a pig and dog. Yet even so, he still placed all his hopes in Lin Wanqi and the son in her belly. He thought this was his last trump card, the only bargaining chip he could use with me. He will never know that the child he treats as his lifeline was from the start an outright scam, and the truth of this fraud will soon smash into his face, plunging him into an abyss. After Jiyu Mingchen was kicked out of the company, his life became worse by the day. His rented room was on the top floor of a village in the city. In summer it was like a steam box with no air conditioning. In winter the wind came through, and when it rained the roof leaked. It was worlds apart from the half-mountain villa he used to live in. He had gone from being the billionaire CEO of a listed company to a penniless, heavily indebted defaulter, barred from high consumption, unable to take high-speed trains or airplanes. Every day he hid in the rented room, afraid to go out in case creditors blocked him. And Lin Wanqi, watching Jiyu Mingchen collapse into complete bankruptcy and lose all his former glory, gradually revealed her true colors. She stopped pretending to be fragile and helpless and every day screamed and raged at Jiyu Mingchen, calling him incompetent, a loser, someone who couldn't even support his own woman and child. Jiyu Mingchen, look at you now, you can't even afford a can of pregnancy milk powder. I was blind to be with you. I've really had enough of this crappy place. There isn't even a private bathroom. If you still can't bring in any money, I'll take the child and leave. You told me you'd make me a rich wife, live in a big villa. And look at what happened. Now we can hardly afford to eat. You're just a liar. Every day the rented room rang with Lin Wanqi's curses and the sound of things being smashed. Jiyu Mingchen's chest was already full of anger, and with her making such a scene, he got even more furious. The two argued every day in the rental place, breaking things and making a ruckus, but every time after a quarrel Lin Wanqi just covers her belly and says the baby in her womb is uncomfortable. And Jiyu Mingchen immediately softens, apologizes to her in a sycophantic whisper, and obeys her wholeheartedly. He has placed all his hopes on the child in Lin Wanqi's belly. Although I publicly exposed his infertility diagnosis, his heart still clings to a bit of luck, thinking I forged the report, that I am reversing him on purpose. The baby in Lin Wanqi's belly is his, the eldest grandson of the Jiyu family, his only hope now. He believes that as long as the child is born safely, he will fight with all his might to give the child a good life, and even he would take the child to bargain with me, asking for a sum of money in exchange for letting him go for the sake of the child. He's even planning to, after the birth, do a paternity test, then bring the paternity results to court to redivide the property. He has completely failed to realize that the child he has placed all his hopes on has always been a fraud from the start. That day Lin Wanqi fought with him again because Jiyu Mingchen couldn't afford the imported fruit she wanted. In the end, she covered her belly and cried out in pain, saying the baby was uncomfortable. Jiyu Mingchen instantly panicked, hailed a taxi, and took Lin Wanqi to a nearby private hospital to have a prenatal checkup and see the baby's condition. He had almost no money left, but he still gritted his teeth and booked the most expensive specialist, fearing the baby in Lin Wanqi's belly would have any problem at the hospital. The doctor gave Lin Wanqi a prenatal checkup order to go for an ultrasound. Jiyu Mingchen accompanied her and walked to the ultrasound room entrance. Lin Wanqi asked him to wait outside and went in alone. Jiyu Mingchen waited anxiously at the door, praying in his heart that the baby would be all right, but after waiting for a full half-hour the ultrasound room door opened and it was not Lin Wanqi who walked out but the doctor who conducted the examination. The doctor looked at Jiyu Mingchen and frowned, then spoke, "Are you Lin Wanqi's family?" Jiyu Mingchen immediately nodded, anxious as he spoke. "Doctor, I am her husband. How is the baby in her womb? Is everything okay?" The doctor looked at him with a hint of strange expression and replied, "The baby? What baby? Your wife is not pregnant at all. There is nothing in her uterus and her body bears not even a trace of pregnancy or miscarriage." Those words hit Jiyu Mingchen like a thunderbolt, sharply splitting through his head. He stood there, stunned, for a long time unable to react, and he asked incredulously, "Doctor, what did you say? It's impossible. She was clearly 4 months pregnant. The previous prenatal test orders clearly showed pregnancy. How could she not be pregnant?" The doctor shook his head and said, "We conducted a detailed examination on her and indeed she is not pregnant. The previous prenatal test orders were likely forged. Moreover, when we checked her medical records, we found she has never in our hospital or any hospital undergone prenatal checkups. The prenatal test orders you mentioned don't exist at all." Jiyu Mingchen's mind buzzed, a blank 6B. 2 people came to blows in the hospital lobby, tearing at each other and biting, exposing every bit of dirt they had on one another. Patients and family members waiting nearby crowded around, filming non-stop, with their phones, pointing fingers and whispering. The farce finally ended when hospital security pulled them apart. The videos of their fight were uploaded by onlookers and overnight went viral across the internet. Netizens were stunned, calling it the biggest scandal of the year. The scumbag husband duped and tormented by the mistress, too satisfying. Hashtags like #JiyuMingchen fake pregnancy scam and #Lin Wanqifu legumingchen for affair shot back to the top of trending lists. People left comments saying, Jiyu Mingchen was ridiculous, he ruined everything for a fake pregnancy mistress. Here's the joke of the year. As for Lin Wanqi, after making a scene with Jiyu Mingchen, that same night she snatched the last of his living money, vanished without a trace, and could no longer be contacted. Jiyu Mingchen was left utterly alone, betrayed by everyone, penniless, hiding in a shabby rental, chased by creditors and spat on by the whole internet, a living joke. He blamed all his misfortunes and failures on me. He believed that if it weren't for me, he wouldn't have lost his company, wouldn't have had his reputation ruined, and wouldn't have been deceived by Lin Wanqi. The resentment in his heart grew like wild grass, and eventually sprouted a mad idea. He wanted revenge. He wanted to destroy me, to ruin the lab and core patents I cared about most, to destroy my life, and make me taste falling from the clouds into the mud. What he didn't know was that this insane idea would ultimately send him to a prison of no return. Jiyu Mingchen hid in the rental for a full half-month. During those 2 weeks he scrolled my news online every day, watched me revive Mingchen maternity step by step with Qingyang Biotech, saw me become a leading figure in the country's reproductive medicine field, and saw me come and go with Jiang Yanci, a perfect match of talent and appearance. The resentment and jealousy in his heart nearly drove him mad. He believed that everything I now had should have been his. If not for me, he would still be the celebrated CEO of a publicly listed company, the admired young talent. I ruined his life. He wanted revenge, to make me pay, to make me taste losing everything. He tracked my movements and learned that I went every day to Qingyang Biotech's core R&D lab, where all my key research data and genetic samples were stored, the place I valued most. He thought this was his best chance to get back at me. I immediately contacted my lawyer and submitted the complete surveillance footage and the list of losses to the police and the prosecutor's office, demanding that Jiyu Mingchen be held criminally liable for intentional destruction of property and creating trouble. But Jiyu Mingchen still doesn't realize he has already exposed himself. After being taken away by the police, since the circumstances were not deemed highly serious, he was granted bail pending trial. Once released, he not only showed no sign of restraint but became even more frenzied. He believed that smashing the laboratory had failed to ruin my core business, so he planned to strike directly at me, even to harm my 2 daughters. He traced my movements, knew that every afternoon at 6 I would leave the lab to pick up my 2 daughters from the kindergarten, and would undoubtedly pass through the underground parking lot of a national-level laboratory. He had bought a weapon in advance and recruited 2 desperados to lay in wait in a corner of the underground parking lot, waiting for my arrival to execute his kidnapping plan. He wanted to kidnap me and my 2 daughters, force me to drop the lawsuit, and extort a colossal hush fee from me, otherwise we would perish together. That afternoon at 6, my car entered the underground parking lot on time and parked in a designated space. The driver got out first and opened the rear door. My 2 daughters jumped out of the car first. I was about to follow when Jiyu Mingchen, accompanied by 2 men, rushed out like crazy, holding a machete and shouting at the driver, "Don't move or I'll kill you." The driver froze in an instant. Jiyu Mingchen seized the moment and rushed to the car to try to pull me and my daughters out, shouting wildly, "Su Qingyang, you come out now. If you don't return my company to me today and don't give me 100 million, I'll kill your daughter and perish with you." But before his hands touched my daughters, I, sitting in the car, remained completely unfazed, simply speaking calmly, "Move your hands." No sooner had the words fallen than 4 tall bodyguard-like figures jumped out from the nearby car, moving with clean, swift precision. They quickly subdued Jiyu Mingchen and the 2 men he brought to the ground, kicked the machete away, and pressed his face into the cold concrete. Unable to move, Jiyu Mingchen, pressed to the ground, struggled wildly, shouting at me, "Su Qingyang, you've outsmarted me. You've prepared all this long ago." I held my 2 terrified daughters as I got out of the car, stood before him looking down at him with a cold and contemptuous gaze, and said, "Jiyu Mingchen, what kind of person you are thinking in your heart? I know clearly. You smashed my laboratory, and now you want to hurt my daughters as well. You're getting more and more impressive." Jiyu Mingchen, with red eyes, roared, "It's you who forced me. You ruined everything for me. I've become what I am today because of you." I smiled and said, "Me, Jiyu Mingchen, reaching this point today is all your own doing. You betrayed me first. You repaid kindness with spite. You ruined our marriage first, and now you turn around and blame me." I paused, then continued, "You deliberately damaged public and private property, which constitutes creating trouble. And now you're holding a knife and kidnapping, constituting attempted murder, multiple offenses, to be punished together. You can only look forward to spending the rest of your life in prison." Having said that, I took out my phone and dialed the police directly and spoke, "Hello, is this the police? There is someone holding a knife and intending to kill at the underground parking lot of a national-level laboratory. The person has been subdued by us." I hung up, and within 10 minutes the police arrived at the scene. They saw Jiyu Mingchen pressed to the ground and the machete on the ground. Immediately understanding the situation, produced handcuffs, and cuffed Jiyu Mingchen and his companions. When Jiyu Mingchen was being carried away by the police, he was still struggling wildly, shouting at me, "Su Qingyang, I will not spare you. I won't even rest in my afterlife." I watched the shadow of him being taken away by the police, his face unruffled. From the moment he betrayed me, his ending was already destined. He paved a road to prison with his own hands. No one could save him, and Jiang Yanxi, who had silently supported me all along, was utterly enraged after learning of this. Not only did he arrange the country's top criminal lawyer to follow the case, he also submitted all of Jiyu Mingchen's criminal evidence to the court and mobilized every resource to prevent Jiyu Mingchen from posting bail, ensuring he would face the severest punishment under the law. It was also during this time that Jiang Yanxi officially expressed his feelings to me, telling me that he wanted to protect me and my daughters for a lifetime. Seeing the sincerity and determination in his eyes, And recalling his unwavering protection and support during this period, I smiled and agreed to him. We were officially together, and Jiu Ming-chen in the detention center upon learning that I was with Jiang Yanxi and that I had reached the pinnacle of the reproductive medicine industry, completely went berserk. But no matter how crazy he is, he cannot change the fact that he is about to face a sentence in prison, after Jiu Ming-chen was taken away by the police, because he was suspected of intentional property damage, making trouble, and attempted murder, with highly aggravating circumstances and great social harm. The police directly rejected his bail application. This means that before the court's judgment, he must stay in the detention center and will no longer have any chance to harass me or hurt my daughters. And Jiang Yanxi, true to his word, not only arranged the country's top criminal lawyer to follow the case, he also compiled and submitted all of Jiu Mingchen's criminal evidence to the procuratorate, ensuring that he would receive the harshest legal punishment. With Jiu Mingchen's trouble resolved, I could finally be at ease, focusing on my development work and my two daughters. Jiang Yanxi almost turned down nearly all unnecessary work, staying with me and my daughters every day. When I went to the laboratory, he was right beside my office handling his own work. When I went to pick up the girls from kindergarten, he was always waiting at the gate. When I stayed up late to work, he quietly prepared late-night snacks for me and sat with me, never complaining. What he gave me was never condescending charity but equal respect, steadfast preference, and a sense of security that everything would have a response and a resolution. He never tells me to give up my career or my passions for the sake of the children. Instead, he tells me that my career and my dreams are more important than anything. With him and a nanny to help, I can always go after what I want and pursue my dreams. During the 6 years with Jiu Ming-chen, I lived increasingly humiliated, increasingly lacking in self, always compromising to please him. But after being with Jiang Yanxi, I lived with growing confidence, more dazzling, able to be myself without worry about pursuing my dreams, because I know that no matter what happens, he will be behind me, always supporting me. With his support, my reproductive medicine research and development career has reached a whole new apex. The third-generation non-invasive assisted reproductive technology that I led my team to develop, after years of clinical trials, finally received approval from the National Medical Products Administration and was formally put into clinical use. This technology can raise the success rate of assisted reproduction from the original 40% to over 70%, while greatly reducing risks to pregnant women and fetuses. It is a major breakthrough in the field of reproductive medicine in China. Thanks to this technology, I received the National Science and Technology Progress Award First Class, the highest award in the domestic medical science and technology field, and I am also the youngest female recipient of this award. Soon, I received an invitation from the World Health Organization to go to Geneva, Switzerland, to attend the Global Reproductive Medicine Forum and deliver the keynote speech as the only female expert from China. This was the first time the World Health Organization invited a Chinese female reproductive medicine expert to speak at this top global forum, and it was a pride for the entire Chinese medical industry. On the day of the forum, the WHO headquarters in Geneva was packed with reproductive medicine experts from around the world. WHO officials and representatives from national health departments all gathered there. Jiang Yanxi accompanied me to Geneva and sat in the front row, watching me with eyes full of tenderness and encouragement. I wore a simple white suit and walked calmly onto the podium. Warm applause erupted instantly from the audience, and all eyes focused on me. Standing at the podium, I spoke fluently in English, sharing my third-generation non-invasive assisted reproductive technology with guests from around the world presenting the achievements of China's reproductive medicine development and our efforts and contributions in the prevention and treatment of infertility. My speech was logically clear, and the technical results amazed the audience. The experts below nodded repeatedly and applause broke out from time to time. At the end of my speech, looking at everyone in the audience, I spoke word by word. Assisted reproductive technology has never been meant to serve feudal ideas of preferring sons over daughters, nor to be a tool for illegal surrogacy. Its existence is to help families suffering from infertility realize their dreams of having children, to protect every woman's reproductive health, and to ensure that every new life is welcomed with love and anticipation. When I finished that sentence, thunderous applause erupted from the audience, continuing without end. All the guests stood and applauded me. After the speech, the WHO Director General personally shook my hand and highly praised my technology and on the spot reached a cooperation agreement with me to jointly establish global reproductive medicine joint laboratories to promote my non-invasive assisted reproductive technology and provide help to infertile families worldwide. Major medical institutions and medical schools around the world sent me cooperation invitations one after another, wanting to learn reproductive medicine techniques from me and inviting me to their institutions for exchanges and guidance. I became without question a leading figure in the global field of reproductive medicine. After the forum ended, Jiang Yanxi and I walked along Lake Geneva. In the evening, Lake Geneva shimmered under the setting sun, the waves sparkling, and a light breeze carried a faint floral scent, gentle and romantic. Jiang Yanxi held my hand, carefully protecting me, afraid I might tire. He looked at me with gentleness and pride in his eyes and said, "Qingyang, you were really dazzling on the stage just now." I looked at him, smiled and replied, "Thank you, Yanxi, for staying with me and supporting me all along. If it weren't for you, I might not have come this far." Jiang Yanxi stopped, turned to face me, gently brushed the stray hairs from my forehead, and spoke sincerely. "Qingyang, it wasn't me who made you, it's you yourself. You are already outstanding enough, dazzling enough." He paused, then continued, "In truth, I have known you longer than you think. 5 years ago at the International Forum on Reproductive Medicine, you weren't even married yet. You stood on the stage sharing your research on assisted reproductive technology. Your eyes were bright, confident, and dazzling. From that moment, my gaze never left you." He looked into my eyes and spoke tenderly. "Later you got married. I could only quietly watch you, see you give up your career and return to the family. I was incredibly disappointed and heartbroken. I waited for so many years and finally you stood up again, returned to the stage that belonged to you. Qingyang, I like you not because of your current achievements, not because of your aura, but simply because you are Su Qingyang. I admire your resilience, your talent, your kindness, your courage. I want to be your eternal backing, to always respect your passion, support all your decisions, accompany you in safeguarding medical ideals, protecting you and your 2 daughters for a lifetime. If you're willing, give me this chance." And girlfriend, watching the sincerity and respect in his eyes, hearing his heartfelt confession and remembering the 2 years of his unwavering protection and support, my eyes warmed slightly and a warm current welled up in my heart. I smiled and nodded and spoke, "I'm willing." Jiang Yanxi's eyes lit up instantly. He excitedly embraced me softly, as if holding a priceless treasure. So happy like a child. The evening breeze on Lake Geneva ruffled my long hair, the sunset illuminating our embracing figures, romantic and beautiful. I finally stepped out of the haze of the past 6 years, meeting the person who truly knows how to cherish me, love me, and respect me. And Jiyu Mingchen, the guard at the detention center, learned that I had shone on the global forum and that Jiang Yanxi and I were officially together. And he went completely crazy in the detention center. He rages and makes a scene, goes on a hunger strike, even goes so far as to self-harm, hoping to get bail and be released to retaliate against me. But all his struggles are in vain. His criminal case is solidly evidenced and will soon be transferred to the procuratorate for indictment, and his divorce case with me also has a set court date. What awaits him is a final judgment of full divorce and property separation. His life has already lost any chance of turning around. After returning home from Geneva, my relationship with Jiang Yanxi grew more stable. He treated my 2 daughters as if they were his own, loving them every day after work, telling them stories, taking them to school and spoiling them into little princesses. He never asked me to give up my career for the family. Instead, he used his global resources to help expand Qingyang Biotech's overseas business, staying with me and gradually lifting Qingyang Biotech to a higher height. Our divorce case with Jiyu Mingchen finally had a court date. Before the hearing, Jiyu Mingchen's lawyer contacted my lawyer several times, hoping to settle, He said Jiu Ming-chen was willing to apologize, willing to walk away with nothing, as long as I could issue him a letter of forgiveness to help reduce his criminal penalties. I refused directly, forgiveness impossible. Back then, when he brought his mistress into the house, mocked me for not giving him a son, and made me serve the other woman, why didn't he leave me a little room? When he smashed my laboratory, tried to kidnap my daughter, and sought to perish together with me, why didn't he show mercy? What he owes me must be repaid with the most painful price. On the day of the hearing at the entrance of the Beijing High People's Court, hundreds of reporters crowded the scene along with countless netizens. This case. After all, this divorce case involved the domestic fertility medicine giant Su Qingyang, former company president Jiu Ming-chen, and domestic billionaire Jiang Yanxi. Drawing online attention from the start, I wore a black suit and, escorted by lawyer Zhong and bodyguards, walked into the court. Just as I reached the door, I ran into Jiu Ming-chen being escorted by the guards. He was still in criminal detention, so he wore a detention center vest, handcuffed, with messy hair and a pale, gaunt face, looking prematurely aged and unsteady, far from the once dashing president. Seeing me, his eyes instantly reddened. He charged toward me, shouting hoarsely, "Su Qingyang, you bitch, it's all your fault. I've become like this today because of you." The nearby guards immediately restrained him, admonishing, "Calm down." He was pinned in place, unable to move, and could only glare at me with venom, wishing he could tear me apart. I looked at him with no ripple of emotion, as if he were a stranger, and I walked past him. Straight into the courtroom. Inside, the spectators' seats were packed with reporters and members of the public following the case. The proceedings were fully recorded with audio and video for transparency. The judge rapped the gavel to announce the hearing officially open. The first to speak was Jiu Ming-chen's lawyer. He rose and addressed the judge. "Your Honor, my client Jiu Ming-chen has been in a relationship with the plaintiff Su Qingyang for 1 year, married for 6 years, with a solid emotional foundation. This marital crisis was caused by my client's momentary lapse in judgment and his mistakes, for which he has deeply repented. We hope the plaintiff can give him a chance to reform and withdraw the divorce proceeding. Moreover, my client contends that the plaintiff Su Qingyang's Qingyang Biotech Company, all patent incomes and real estate assets were expanded during the marriage and that all such revenues belong to the marital community. We respectfully request the court to rule that 60% of the assets under the plaintiff's name be awarded to my client, whose total value exceeds 20 billion yuan. When these words came out, the spectators instantly erupted in murmurs. 6-1. After half an hour of deliberation by the panel, the judge reopened the court, struck the gavel, and announced the verdict in court. The judge began to speak. This court believes that during the marriage, the defendant Jiu Ming-chen committed multiple serious faults, including infidelity within the marriage, cohabitation with others, malicious transfer of marital property, and intent to harm the plaintiff and minor children. Plaintiff Su Qingyang firmly demanded a divorce, and the marital relationship had indeed broken down with no possibility of reconciliation. The judgment is as follows. 1. The plaintiff Su Qingyang is granted a divorce from the defendant Jiu Ming-chen. 2. The defendant Jiu Ming-chen, due to major fault in the marriage, is ordered to leave with nothing, with no right to divide any pre-registration personal property or internal personal gains of the plaintiff Su Qingyang. 3. Custody of the 2 legitimate daughters belongs to the plaintiff Su Qingyang. The defendant Jiu Ming-chen must pay child support monthly until the daughters reach the age of 18. 4. The defendant Jiu Ming-chen, within 10 days from the effective date of this judgment, shall pay the plaintiff Su Qingyang 2 million renminbi in mental damages. 5. All of the defendant Jiu Ming-chen's claims are rejected. The gavel fell, and the court session ended. The spectators' bench instantly erupted in warm applause as reporters swarmed in, continuously taking photos of me. The entire internet went into an uproar, with related topics shooting straight to the top of the hot search list. Netizens clapped and praised, saying the verdict was long overdue and that the deadbeat deserved to be left with nothing. In the second peak of exposing the scum, I achieved a complete victory. Jiu Ming-chen, upon hearing the verdict, collapsed on the spot and shouted in court, but was directly carried out by the bailiffs, accompanied by my lawyer and bodyguards. I left the courthouse. At the entrance to the court, Jiang Yanzi stood by the car holding my 2 daughters in his arms. Seeing me exit, he walked up with a smile, handed me a bouquet of sunflowers and said, "Congratulations, Qingyang, you are completely free now." I took the flowers, looked at him and the girls in his arms and smiled, saying, "Thank you for always being with me." Jiang Yanzi reached out and gently brushed the stray hair from my forehead, then spoke softly, "From now on, no one will bully you or your daughters again." The sunshine spilled onto us, warm and bright. I knew that this 6-year nightmare had finally ended, and Jiyu Mingchen, what awaited him was the harshest criminal verdict and a life in the bleak darkness of prison. After the divorce ruling, Jiyu Mingchen was dissatisfied and appealed to the Supreme People's Court. He felt the court's ruling was unfair and that he must obtain a share of my property, otherwise he would never be able to turn his life around. But his appeal after the Supreme Court's trial was dismissed on the spot, and the original judgment was upheld. He had completely lost any possibility of dividing my property, and even the last glimmer of hope shattered, and his criminal case finally entered the final trial. The Beijing First Intermediate People's Court conducted a public trial on Jiyu Mingchen's alleged crimes of illegal medical practice, illegal surrogacy, contract fraud, tax evasion, intentional destruction of property, picking quarrels and provoking trouble, and attempted murder. The entire trial was broadcast live online, with the number of viewers surpassing 100 million. Countless netizens watched in the livestream to see Jiyu Mingchen's ultimate fate. I did not go to the court hearing in person. I only asked my lawyer to follow the process from start to finish and submit all the evidence. That day I was at home accompanying Jiang Yanzi and our 2 daughters, flying kites in the garden as sunlight filtered through the leaves, warm and beautiful. My lawyer called me and updated me on the court proceedings. In court, the procuratorate brought charges against Jiyu Mingchen for multiple offenses, with the total involved amount exceeding 3 billion yuan for each charge. There was a complete evidentiary chain, solid as iron. Jiyu Mingchen's lawyer attempted to make a light sentence defense for him, arguing that he was a first offender and had a good attitude of repentance, hoping the court would give him a lighter sentence. But Jiyu Mingchen himself in court remained unrepentant and shifted all the blame onto me, saying that the whole path to today was caused by me, that I had ruined his life. He even in court faced the livestream cameras and cursed me, defamed me, calling me a ruthless, vicious wife. 208 After the verdict was announced, the entire internet instantly boiled over. A third wave of smashing the scum and slapping faces climaxed, completely triggering the whole network. Netizens flooded with comments saying, "Justice was served, evil would be punished." Jiyu Mingchen finally received the punishment he deserved, 20 years in prison. His life essentially ruined, and on the very day the verdict was announced, my assistant dropped an ultimate twist on me. An assistant sent me a complete set of materials, which contain all the evidence of how Jiyu Mingchen meticulously schemed to approach me and pursue me. It turns out that from the very first time we met, Jiyu Mingchen had designed a carefully crafted ruse. He had already used his friends to ascertain my true identity, knowing that I was the director of a national-level reproductive medicine laboratory, the founder of Qingyang Biotech, and the sole heir to the Jiangnan medical family. With enormous assets and industry resources at his disposal at that time, his street clinic was on the brink of bankruptcy. He was at his wit's end, so he meticulously arranged a chance encounter to launch a fierce pursuit of me. He pretended to be gentle, considerate, and ambitious, catered to my preferences in every way, and presented himself as a potential career powerhouse, deceiving my heart and making me willingly devote 6 years of my youth to him, using all my resources and connections to help him turn his near-bankrupt small clinic into a leading private maternity and infant enterprise in the country. From the very beginning, as he approached me and we got married, there was never any true sincerity. Everything was to exploit my technology, resources, and funds to help him start anew. He had already planned to, after marriage, seize my core patents and kick me out. All along, I have lived inside the meticulously woven trap he created. Upon seeing this information, I felt not the slightest ripple in my heart, not even a trace of surprise. In fact, from the moment he took Lin Wanqi home and taunted me for not being able to have a son, I already knew that he had never loved me. This information merely confirms my belief once again. I sent the documents to my lawyer, asking him to submit these evidences to the prison administration and the relevant supervisory agencies, so that Jiu Ming-chen would not have it easy even in prison, and Jiu Ming-chen, upon learning that this ultimate reversal had been exposed, completely broke down, causing a commotion in the prison, and was eventually placed in solitary confinement. He will spend the rest of his life in a cold prison, tortured by endless remorse and pain. Having resolved all matters concerning Jiu Ming-chen, I finally let go of the past and calmly focused on my daughters, dedicating myself to my own research and development. Jiang Yanci declined all unnecessary work, spending every day with me and our daughters, making breakfast for us, playing with the girls, taking meticulous care of me. He never told me to return to the family after giving birth, to give up my career. Instead, he told me that my dreams mattered more than anything and he would always be my strongest backing. My life finally entered a brand new chapter in my career. The global headquarters of Qingyang Biotech was officially completed in Beijing's Zhongguancun, and my career soared to new heights. In love, Jiang Yanci gave me the most steadfast devotion and the gentlest protection, letting me know what it feels like to be truly loved. In life, with 2 adorable daughters and a warm partner, days passed happily and steadily, and Jiang Yanci, under the gaze of the public, gave me the most romantic proposal, opening a brand new journey in our lives. On the day of my 2 daughters' 6th birthday, Qingyang Biotech's global headquarters was officially completed in Beijing's Zhongguancun. The new headquarters is located in the core area of Zhongguancun, a full 30 floors high, housing the world's top laboratories for reproductive medicine research, clinical trial centers and academic exchange centers. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling windows on the top floor, one can overlook the entire cityscape of Beijing. The view is superb. On the completion ceremony day, countless guests from home and abroad attended. Leaders of world-renowned medical institutions, presidents of medical schools, academicians from the 2 academies, as well as leaders from the National Health Commission and the Drug Administration, creating a glittering, bustling scene. I wore a red suit, holding 2 daughters in princess dresses, escorted by Jiang Yanci, and walked onto the stage for the completion ceremony. The audience erupted in thunderous, enduring applause. I picked up the microphone, looked at all the guests below and the millions of viewers in the live stream, and spoke with composure. Good day to all the leaders, guests, and friends in the live stream. I am Su Qingyang, founder of Qingyang Biotech. Today, standing here as Qingyang Biotech's global headquarters officially opens, my heart is filled with deep emotion. 7 years ago, for the sake of marriage, I gave up my career, thinking that marriage and family would be the woman's ultimate home, but later I understood that the best home for a woman has never been marriage or family. It has always been ourselves. I paused, then continued, saying that in these years I have undergone betrayal, endured hurt, and weathered the darkest moments of life, yet I never gave up on myself or my passion, my career. Today, Qingyang Biotech's achievements are not due to anyone else, but to myself, to our entire team, painstakingly step by step. Here, I want to tell all my female friends, do not be defined by society's prejudice, do not be bound by marriage and family. Your life has infinite possibilities. You can build a career, you can chase your dreams, you can see the world, you can become whatever you want to be. As long as you do not give up on yourself, the whole world will make way for you. As soon as my words fell, thunderous applause erupted from the audience, and the comments in the live stream flooded with encouragement and admiration. At the completion ceremony, I formally announced 2 major things. First, Qingyang Biotech officially launched its global layout and reached a deep strategic cooperation with Jiang Yanci's Jiang Group of Medical, to jointly build a world-class reproductive medicine research and development platform, promoting China's assisted reproductive technology to the world and helping more infertile families globally. Second, I formally established the Qingyang Assisted Reproductive Public Foundation, allocating 15% of Qingyang Biotech's profits each year to fund impoverished infertile families and to support female researchers in the field of reproductive medicine, helping more women realize their dreams. Once these 2 announcements were made, the audience again erupted in warm applause, and countless guests expressed their willingness to join the foundation and help empower women's growth. At the end of the completion ceremony, the host smiled and said, "President Su, today is such an important day. Has Mr. Jiang prepared any surprise for us?" The guests in the audience heckled playfully, looking toward Jiang Yanxi. Jiang Yanxi took the microphone with a smile, holding my hand, leading me to the center of the stage. He looked at me, his eyes full of tenderness and love, and addressing all the guests and the millions watching in the live stream, he began, "Today, on this auspicious day of Qingyang Biotech's global headquarters completion, I have one most important thing to do." He paused, kneeled on one knee, pulled a velvet box from his pocket, opened it, and inside was a custom diamond ring. The ring setting was carved in platinum with a DNA double helix structure and an abbreviation of my name with a flawless diamond set in the middle, dazzling and brilliant. Jiang Yanxi looked into my eyes and said earnestly, "Qingyang, 5 years ago at the International Forum on Reproductive Medicine, I first met you and was drawn by the light in your eyes. In these 5 years, I have watched you shine, watched you fall and watched you rise again, more dazzling than before. I love your perseverance, your bravery, your passion for medicine, and the gentleness and kindness that lie in your bones. Before I could only stand quietly behind you, watching you. Now I want to stand proudly by your side, be your forever backing, accompany you in defending the ideals of medicine, travel with you across the vast land, care for our 2 daughters with you, and share the rest of our days. Su Qingyang, do you want to marry me?" The whole venue instantly erupted in cheers, the guests shouting, "Marry him, marry him." The live comments flooded with, "Be together." My 2 daughters, holding the ring box, ran to Jiang Yanxi's side, took my hand and sweetly cried out, "Mom, marry Dad." Seeing Jiang Yanxi kneel on one knee, seeing the sincerity and determination in his eyes, and seeing our adorable daughters by his side, I smiled and shed tears, extending my hand and saying, "I am willing, Yanxi." Jiang Yanxi's eyes lit up instantly. He excitedly slid the diamond ring onto my finger, stood up and embraced me tightly. The audience below erupted in long-lasting applause and cheers, and the flashbulbs flickered continuously, recording this romantic moment. The inauguration ceremony in this romantic marriage proposal came to a perfect ending. News spread across the internet. Netizens sent their blessings, saying I had finally tasted sweetness after hardship, found the right person, and lived in a way that all women envy. Meanwhile, Jiyu Mingchen in prison, through the news, saw my engagement success, saw Qingyang Biotech global headquarters completed, and saw that I had become a leader in the global reproductive medicine field, surrounded by a husband who loves me, a lovely daughter, and success in both career and love. He completely collapsed mentally, banging his head against the wall in prison, crying uncontrollably, muttering constantly, "I was wrong, Qingyang, I was really wrong, can you come back?" But his apology, his remorse had long since lost all meaning to me. His life had been frozen in the pitch-dark prison while my life had just begun the most brilliant chapter. 3 months later, I, with my 2 daughters and Jiang Yanxi, held a warm wedding at a private estate in New Zealand, opening a brand new chapter in our lives.